Sri Anandamayi Ma, the great saint of India last century, and she left her body, of course, in 1982, she said this is why. The pranic body is centered at one of the chakras. The actual flow of prana has a hub. It is the second chakra up from the bottom. It's not a very high state. Because if you look at the mind is controlling the body. Actually, the prana is controlling the body first. Where you say the koshas or the sheaths of the body, the annamaya kosha, the physical body, then the pranamaya kosha is next, overlays the physical body, which is prana. Overlaying that, which is higher and a little more refined, is the mind. So the prana and the physical body are really interrelated, and it's obvious because the prana, life force, keeps the body alive. Controls respiration, controls assimilation, reproduction, also controls when we leave the body. It's all pranic movements. When you start to agitate, or even in a sense just kind of strengthen that pranic body, the center where its hub is, the second chakra from the bottom, is also the home, the hub of the emotional body. So if the two, the pranic body and the emotional body, are intertwined, and you start to do pranic exercises or even circulation of the prana, it starts to vibrate it. It starts to make it stronger. But since it's overlaid and intertwined with the emotional body, when it starts to vibrate, the emotional body starts to vibrate, they're intertwined, become stirred up emotionally. This is why it says that pranayama only should be done under the guidance of a very strict and accomplished guide or guru. Otherwise, it's destructive. Sri Ramana Maharshi said, don't do it. Anandamayi Ma said, don't do it. It is only done as an aid to meditation to calm the mind. But now we find in our modern era, there are a lot of pranayama techniques, especially like breath of fire, and these very violent types of things which do give you this oxygen jag and this pranic jag, which show a balance and show a stimulation. What we don't understand is it's stimulating the emotional body at the same time. You find a lot of people who do a lot of pranayama are really kind of like flighty, emotional, temper tantrum type of people, because their emotional body is just right on the edge, because their pranic body is right on the edge. If you just tell them, listen, just as an experiment, stop the pranayama for a while, they'll say, you know, I feel a lot calmer. I've got control now. I don't flight into tempers. I'm not angry. I don't have violent thoughts. So they say, you don't mess with this stuff. You watch the breath. This is even what the Maharshi is saying. You simply just watch it. And then it starts to refine itself. Again, we're divine beings. So we have this nature. So we find the practice is to simply just let this refinement come to a point, concentration, then we can reflect. Okay? So let's talk about the process of self-inquiry. Now you have to understand, I'll try to explain it one way, and it is different for everyone. Every form of meditation can be experienced different, because as we are evolving, we're like kids moving through the school of life from one grade to, if we've learned self-control, but we haven't developed emotional stability, well, in one life we'll need to deal with emotion and not so much just the baser nature. If we've accomplished so much and now we just want to develop in the intellectual realm, and we don't really need devotional aspects, then even our Atma-Vichara is going to take us in different ways. But one thing you have to understand is the focus of it is concentration, because we want to have a concentrated, focused mind in order to really reflect on the nature of the self. So when we're asking the question, the classic question of Atma-Vichara, who am I? You're trying to reflect upon the nature of who you are. The actual word vichara in the Sanskrit language does not mean primarily inquiry. If you ask any Sanskrit scholar, they're going to say vichara means reflection. Whereas inquiry has a different connotation. if we're trying to inquire after something, we maybe have heard about it, we've seen some evidence of it in others, but we're inquiring after it. We don't really know it. We're looking for it. And then after we find it, then we can start to embrace it. Okay? The word reflection, the connotation is we've experienced it. Now we're reflecting on our present state as opposed to that other condition of mind which we were more enveloped and embraced with our true nature. Now we're reflecting and we're saying, well, I am not this, I am really that. You have to know that. You have to have experienced it. This is why the Maharishi and so many others, they gave practices of devotion, practices of concentration, even, going around the holy hill Arunachala. All these things make us have contact with these things. It's divine contact. So really, meditation from the inception to the culmination is deeper degrees of God contact, which is really, again, contact with our inner nature, with the self residing in the heart. So that's why the saints and the Maharishi and so many others have said, the very beginning is getting from the head to the heart. That's the beginning. We need to get out of our head into our heart. So this process of vichara, or self-inquiry, reflection on this nature, is one more way of getting out of the intellectual process. So we see it's not an intellectual process. The refined vichara, or self-inquiry, is an intuitional process. We do it just like all the others of method of meditation. We refine our concentration. So we're saying, who am I? We're sitting, meditative state, and we're reflecting. And as we're doing that, we're watching the breath, as he said. You do it as if you even go to the ashram and you look in the holiest place where that sacred Eka Shlok, or that one teaching of the Maharishi, is there engraved in gold. It says, if you follow the I thought to its source by just focusing and letting it come to its source, by just observation and reflection, or follow the breath to the source, you will arrive at the self. So the first thing you must understand, and the most important, do not abandon the traditional methods of meditation in order to even say, devotional meditation is not my way. I don't even want to use the name of God. I might not even feel it's real. You do something to concentrate the mind. Om is the best. That's why Om is the only mantra you'll find in the Vedas. The early scriptures, all the mantras came in the Puranic era. Om is the only one. That's why the Maharishi even said, Om is the self. It is itself. So we sit, and now, having developed our powers of concentration, I know we're just going to run out of time, so we can't really get deep into this. We close our eyes. We sit very calmly, coolly, and relaxed. We just start watching the breath. And then if we use the mantra, and we started to, with unison of the breath and the mantra, we start to have this feeling of divinity manifest and be predominant in our mind, then we can do what the Maharishi said, that this practice of Atma-vichara is not so much a question of who am I, but more correctly, whence am I? W-H-E-N-C-E. From where did I come? So now that we're experiencing this state that is being invoked by our breath meditation and name of God, now we can reflect, this is my nature. And so it's an affirmation now of not who am I, but I am that. But we have to be careful not to make the actual invocation, I am that. We should be traditional and stay with the Vedic understanding, thou art that. This is divine. We are a spark. We are a wave in the ocean of divinity. So this is what we're after.